Okay, team. Hello and happy Thursday. It's so nice to see everyone's face. I hope everyone can hear me okay. Currently, we have 7 school committee members, so we have reached our quorum, and we hope that Marisol and Anna will join us later on. And so we will first start off with a Pledge of Allegiance. And so I have the flag here for us. So if we can begin, let's do this. Okay. If everyone can unmute themselves so we can do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome. Great. Go ahead and mute yourself again. Thanks, team. And so for this meeting today, we are going to have 2 meetings. So the first meeting is where we vote on school choice. And the recommendation from the superintendent is that we remain, and Ami, correct me if I'm wrong, and the answer should be no, right? Is that the recommendation? Yes. That we remain a school choice.
That we decide on school choice and that we forgo this school choice in order to have seats for Chelsea students.
Great. And
because
so,
we are already at capacity.
Thank you so much for clarifying. So Ms. Seha, if we can get a roll call going.
Oh, yep, 1 second.
Hey, Kelly.
Ms. Garcia, can you, I know every year we've had issues with this question, but if it's a yes vote, that means you're foregoing the school choice. If you say no, is that you want Chelsea to be a choice. So just for everybody to be clear.
I can barely hear you guys.
I know, me either. Can you hear me?
I can't hear that loud. It's very low.
So, sorry, just to clarify, seeing as I'm first on the roll call, if we want to make sure that the spots are available for our students, we are voting yes on this vote.
Exactly.
Yes.
Perfect.
Wait a minute. Repeat that again. You vote yes if we want to the school system?
If you would like to make sure that the spots are available for Chelsea students, we are voting yes on this motion. If you would like to allow other students to have the choice of enrolling in Chelsea, then you would vote no.
So open enrollment, you say no, right? You don't want it. Right?
Well, if I may, guys, hi, this is Marisol. Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Would this could this question be posed to Dr. Albeida or to our chairwoman if one or both could give a brief 1 minute, 2 minute summary of what the definition of school choice is for anybody that might be watching or following?
Okay, so school choice means that we would open up our system for students outside of Chelsea. Right now, historically, Chelsea has always voted to forego school choice. The reason why we forego school choice is because our schools are already at capacity.
Right.
And so we want to make sure if we vote to forego school choice, then that means we're saying all of the seats that we have available in our schools are for Chelsea students. So we're foregoing, in other words, we're saying no to school choice.
Okay, thank you.
So the answer to Roberto's point, you would vote yes. Or no, but if you want the seats to go for Chelsea students, you vote yes.
Chelsea only. Chelsea students only. Yes. All right.
Can you guys hear me?
Clarifying, Dr. Abeda. Yes, Henry, we can hear you.
Your volume is very low. I can't hear you guys that well. I'm sorry. It was up, now it's very low now.
Do you have a volume on yours, Henry? Put your
Yeah,
volume.
it's very low. I heard Richard earlier talking and everything and stuff, but now my volume is very low.
Hmm.
Can you hear me now? Can you
I
give
can
me
still
thumbs
hear
up?
a very low volume.
All right. We're going to try our best. Try to put the phone closer to your ear, perhaps, so that you can hear us.
Right.
Team, again, thank you so much for those of you who asked those questions. I apologize for not being so transparent and clear on that. Thank you, Dr. Abeda, for clarifying. And so if we can, Ms. Sejas, get a roll call going. And so as a reminder, if you'd like to keep the seats open to Chelsea students, you are voting yes on this roll call. If you would like to open it up to other districts, you are voting no.
I had a question. So on the agenda, it says we are not voting. I was wondering if that's what you guys wanted to do today, to vote for the school choice.
Yes.
I think we should be okay to vote on it today. Does anyone oppose of this vote?
If I may chime in just to add,
Yes, go ahead.
we were supposed to vote on this over a month ago.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I'll start the roll call. So it's consideration and action to forego school choice for the school year 2020 to 2021. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia,
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez, is she here?
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yes. Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Santiago,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
seven votes in the affirmative and 2 absent. The motion carries.
Thank you, Ms. Sejas. The motion carries. Dr. Abeda, I don't have the agenda for this portion. I believe that was it for this portion of this.
It is, you can adjourn.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I
Do I have a
second the
second?
motion.
Awesome, thank you. Meeting adjourned. So team, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. All right, team, it is now 7 o'clock. I am calling to order this school committee meeting on April 30th. And we will start with our and so yeah, let's get it going. If everyone can unmute themselves and put your hand on your right hand on your heart, and we can begin. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands,
One nation.
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 3 on the agenda. Do I have an approval of the minutes of the regular meeting that occurred on March 5th in closure A?
I make a motion to accept the minutes of the regular school committee of March 5th.
I
Thank you,
second it.
Jeanette. Do we have a second? Thank you, Anna and Rosemary. Do we have any presentations?
We do not have any presentation.
Awesome. And Dr. Abeda, do we have any comments that were mailed to us for the public section comment?
I will defer to Veronica.
There were no comments submitted.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Veronica. All right, now we will go to item 6 on the agenda, report of the superintendent of schools. And so, Dr. Data, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. I do have a report. It's a little bit longer than normal because so much has happened in the last month and a half since we've last met. So I'm going to, a lot of my report you have already heard through updates, but I really want to capture this for people who are watching, and also we have some updated information. And before I start my report, I would like to thank this wonderful team, cabinet, school committee, and our staff for an amazing job throughout this crisis. I can't think of a better team to work with, and I am so fortunate to be in Chelsea, and I just want to say thank you. We are strong, little but mighty is our city, and I am so proud to be part of Chelsea Public Schools. So I will go ahead and start with my report, and then I will submit it for the record. On Tuesday, March 10th, we called the first closure of the Clark Avenue Middle School on March 11th due to potential exposure of COVID-19. Little did I know that March 10th would mark the beginning of a crisis, at least for me, that was unprecedented and impact our lives in ways that has resulted in much uncertainty and pause for our Chelsea community and the world. Since this crisis first began, I have seen our Chelsea Public School staff come together in a way that is heartwarming and gives me hope that we will come out of this better than before. I have witnessed countless acts of kindness, creativity, innovation, persistence, caring, and dedication to our students and Chelsea families. I cannot thank our staff enough for everything they have done to date and continue to do as this emergency continues. That said, the purpose of this memo is to provide a comprehensive update regarding district activity during this emergency to date. So I'm going to start first with the Chelsea Emergency Food Program. Our first priority over 6 weeks ago was meeting the basic needs of our students and our families with food sustenance. By Monday, March 16th of 2020, just 3 days after closing schools, the Chelsea Public Schools Emergency Food Program was operating at 5 sites across Chelsea. We were able to expand to 7 sites by the following Wednesday. The food program has been working 5 days per week, serving an average of 2,000 to 2,300 meals per day. That's breakfast and lunch, so each day about 4,600 meals. Currently, the emergency food program is serving 3 days per week at 5 sites and has served a total of 124,000 meals. Children do not need to be present for someone to pick up a meal, and we operate under an honor system in terms of how many meals an individual may receive. The state and federal government have authorized the food distribution, and we are currently receiving reimbursement for the meals at the amount equal to the summer meals program rate. Our commitment to providing free breakfast and lunch to children and youth in Chelsea remains a high priority. Recognizing that many students do not have access to technology at home, our staff worked quickly to develop and implement a process to distribute Chromebooks and mobile hotspots to students as needed. Principals designed the distribution process for their schools and solicited volunteers to greet families and distribute service devices. On the first day of distribution, which was Thursday, March 26th, teams distributed 2,000 Chromebooks to students, and at the close of the distribution window, a total of 3,500 devices had been provided to students in grades 1 through 12. With each device, IT staff provided information on how to access Wi-Fi at home and expectations on how to use and protect Chromebook equipment. IT staff continues to support families each day via email and phone. Educational digital resources is the next topic. To support students' continued engagement and learning, the curriculum team quickly implemented phase one of what is now a 4-phase effort by creating the CPS Digital Resources website. This website provides access to students to all district digital platforms and websites that do not require teacher management or assessment. The resources are presented by grade level and work on smartphone as well as computers. And these materials were available to students by Monday, March 16th. Moving on into phase 3, teachers and administrators work to create enrichment activities for their Google Classrooms with the support of coaches and lead teachers. Teachers received training on the use of Google Classroom and have been remarkably quick in using that tool to provide their students with educational content to support continued learning. Then on April 6, 2020, we launched our official remote learning plan, which was phase 3, after working in collaboration with the Chelsea Teachers Union to outline goals and parameters for remote learning. We are currently collaborating with the Chelsea Teachers Union on remote learning plan 2.0 since school is now being closed for a longer duration. Our team had to also then move quickly to negotiate evaluation contracts with all of our unions. So due to the fact that our teachers are not physically present to teach and be observed during instruction, we collaborated with our Chelsea Teachers Union to sign a simple memorandum of understanding outlining temporary procedures for our teacher evaluation process. We are proud of the fact that our collaboration with the Chelsea Teachers Union to outline parameters led to a shared agreement and an expeditious way to provide guidance for our leaders and our teachers. We are on the forefront of thinking through issues as we work collaboratively with our local union. We have also worked with other unions to outline temporary procedures for evaluation and processes. Then, so we took care of the mills, we took care of meeting the needs of our teachers, all the technical pieces, and then there's this whole piece of social emotional support, because we realize that our families and our students are going through a lot during this time, including our staff. So recognizing the need to support our students, we created a modified support hotline for students to reach out to social workers and school counselors for emotional support. This was posted on our website 2 weeks after we closed schools. Social workers and school counselors have also been keeping in touch with their students that they normally provide service to throughout the year. Additionally, when teachers are reaching out to students and talking to students, students are being referred to social workers and school counselors. Our social workers and school counselors have been extremely busy during this time. The next topic is employee pay. In addition to supporting our students and families, we have taken steps to provide staff with a sense of financial stability. Our staff are being paid during this time, with the exception of substitute staff members who would not be paid during the school year if not requested to report to work. Ongoing work expectations have been documented for each school and work unit in a series of work expectation documents maintained by Human Resources. The details include all full-time and part-time staff who are salaried or have regular weekly hours will continue to be paid throughout this emergency school closure. Stipends or lane changes will continue to be paid. Stipends for spring duties, for example, performances, athletic coaches, will be paid in full if completed. If the duties have been partially completed, a flat rate will be applied. Hourly pay that is provided for additional duties, such as breakfast, lunch duty, loss of prep after school meetings, will not be paid since the work is not occurring. Stipends will not be paid if work has not started. If committees and teams that were in place and compensated hourly prior to school closure continue to meet during this time, time will be documented and compensation will be provided. In addition to above and in consultation with the city law office, cafeteria workers and security and safety personnel who are not deemed essential in their bargaining agreement are being paid for hours and are voluntarily working during this emergency, and we are so grateful for their work. This is in addition to the base pay they are scheduled to receive. The next topic is budget for school year 2021. If you recall, our budget, we were prepared to present our budget 6 weeks ago when we closed schools for 2 weeks. And so we did not have a budget hearing. Since this crisis has happened, our budget is completely shifted. And so with that, we will have to amend our budget as a result of this crisis. While our Chelsea Public Schools has risen to meet the needs and the demands of this crisis, the future undoubtedly brings incredible turmoil, not the least of which will be economic. We will face challenges that will demand not only good stewardship of our resources, but also difficult and even painful decisions will have to be made. I am committed to making these decisions with integrity, with the most important and critical mission of teaching and learning at the forefront. Based on what I have seen since this pandemic has begun, I know that our community will come through this difficult economic time and we will get through this together. At this current time, I am still waiting for information on our budget, but I do know that it's going to be a difficult budget season. And the final thoughts. Each day, our Chelsea Public School staff support our students and families in a myriad of different ways and will continue to do so throughout this crisis. In the upcoming weeks, teams will continue to support remote student learning while others will begin to plan for summer school and the re-entry of school. We have to be cognizant of the fact that many of our families have experienced much pain and loss during this time. Thus, we will be ready to support our families through this process, and in this process, we will all begin to heal in time. Again, I cannot thank our staff enough for their ongoing efforts and commitment to our students and families. I am grateful and humbled to work with such a dedicated staff and this beautiful Chelsea community. And I thank you. And that concludes this report. And I do have something that's very important, and I announced it yesterday. And I am pleased to announce that I did remove the ad interim from Principal Mark Martineau's title at Chelsea High School. Mark has been principal of Chelsea since October 17th. He has done an amazing job of leading Chelsea High School during a time of transition. So I just want to thank Mark publicly for the work that he has done this year so far. I know Mark will continue to do great things for Chelsea High School, and Chelsea High School family is stronger because of Mark being there, and congratulations to Mark. And this concludes my report.
Dr. Abeyta, thank you so much for sharing that. Team, we are going to take a quick 30-minute pause. We're having technical difficulties, and so let's just take a quick pause, and then we will resume, and I will open it up to the floor to see if we have any questions from school committee.
Folks, that should just be 30 seconds, not 30 minutes. Just
I know.
Oh, did I say 30 minutes?
30 minutes. I could take a nap.
Apologies, Rich.
Thanks, Richie.
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm looking up. Welcome back.
watching us on cable.
Are we all on cable or is just the screen on cable?
It was just the screen. I saw superintendent was on there, Honor and Kelly. Now they got the logo on there. They got the whole screen was there though. Oh, now you're on the screen, Roberto. Many.
Many Lucias. We have like 5 boxes with Lucia's name on it.
Oh. I think I'll go get a glass of wine. I'll be right back.
Yes, there are many, 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 many Lucias. Hi, Rosemary. Thank you for the card.
Oh, you're welcome, Anna. I'm so sorry about my money.
Thank you.
Yeah, she was a special lady, I know.
She was.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right. God brought her home so like she could pass here with us.
Oh, she's going to be praying for us now.
Yeah, now she's going to be looking down. She's going to be taking care of us.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, team. So I just got word from Rich. He suggests we continue with the agenda in our meeting, and he will get another computer and fix it. And so let's continue. It is streaming on cable, but it is lagging on Facebook. And so we will be sure to post the recorded video and all of the necessary documents online so our families and community members have access to all of these documents. So Dr. Obeida, thank you so much for sharing. Team, I'm going to open it up to the floor. I know Jeanette, right, Ms. Velez had a question for you. So Jeanette.
Thank you, Chairwoman Garcia. Well, Dr. Obeida, sorry. First of all, I want to say thank you to all the Chelsea Public School staff, our food workers. I know they're working so hard to provide those meals for our students, and I'm so grateful for that. When I heard other districts had stopped, I was so proud to say that Chelsea didn't stop and that we will not stop. So I thank you for that. I know it's uncertain times and everybody's trying to do the best that they can. So as you know, I work in the community, so I hear from a lot of families. And so my question to you, Dr. Obeida, is Chromebooks and hotspots. So many families picked up and many weren't able to pick up. And I know there's a list of the families who missed it. But there's also some families now that couldn't afford to keep paying internet cable. So now they need a hotspot. Their children are not doing the work, and they're very worried that the children are going to be left behind. The students are getting frustrated because they get their daily texts from the teachers with the school work. They're not able to access. So what can you tell us about those students that are missing the Chromebooks? And I know there's been talks of coming up with a plan of how to get them the Chromebooks, but if you could just say a few words of what will be happening for the next few weeks on that, because you know the kids really feel disconnected and they really want to do the work, and the parents are also feeling concerned about it.
Absolutely. So with the Chromebooks, because we have so many cases of coronavirus in Chelsea, we're not doing the mass distribution that we've done previously, but we are working on plans to get Chromebooks to students. Right now, we have Chelsea High School working to deploy some more Chromebooks, working with our operations staff and IT staff, so that way we can do it in a safe manner and not have crowds of people at the school. So we're working on getting Chromebooks out to more students. So we have, like, for example, we know that we have a group of kids at Chelsea High School that needs Chromebooks. And so I've been in communication today with the principal about how we would get that to them. So we're working on that right now. Additionally, with the hotspots, I know the Department of Education is concerned about many students who don't have Wi-Fi access or internet access. And so they are really working to get resources to communities that don't have these resources. So that's gonna be something that we have to do something about, and we are going to work on. I don't at this time know what it's going to look like. We had purchased over 200 hotspots, and I don't know how many we have left. I don't think it's, I know we have a wait list, but we did purchase hotspots for families. But we have to do better, because this is an extended period of time. So we're still working on that piece. But Chromebooks, we have Chromebooks enough for students in grades 1st grade through 12 for every student currently. So we do have a deployment plan where, like I said, we're working in a different way. We can't do it the way we did it over about a month ago, because we don't want to put our staff and our families in a place where they're waiting in lines and being exposed to the virus. So we're trying to figure out a way to do it safely, and at the same time making sure we get the Chromebooks out. I am committed to that, because we know that our students need to have that. So we're definitely working on what I would say phase 2 right now.
Thank you, Dr. Abeyta.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Velez. Team, do we have any other questions or comments?
Just had a quick question, just roughly, and you might have mentioned this, I might have just, might have cut out like for a second. Do we know like roughly how many students we're talking about for the, like, especially the hotspots, I think, which are the ones that we have fewer of, if I heard you right?
We have a wait list right now, and I can defer that to our, to Monica. Monica, do you know how many students are on our wait list for hotspots?
So we have, I think, just under 300 students asking for Chromebooks. Only a subset of those need hotspots. We do have more hotspots available for our families. They can call the IT office at 617-466-5070 and let us know the name of the child, and we'll put them on the list, and how to reach them. We'll put them on the list for the hotspots when we're going to be distributing them. They can also let us know if any of the Chromebooks are damaged and need a replacement, or if they don't have a Chromebook as yet. And as the superintendent says, as soon as we have the plan in place, we will bring more devices out to the students as soon as we possibly can.
The information is on the website for the number for people to call as well.
Yes, if you go under About, Chelsea Public Schools About, and then COVID-19 response, there's a whole page about the Chromebook distribution with the contact information and also handouts on how to access Wi-Fi from different providers and things like that. That's all on our website.
But I would say to anyone who needs support, please call us. Please reach out, call us so we can help. Whether it's helping getting access to a provider, or if it's a hotspot and figuring out how to use the hotspot, whatever it may be. A lot of families may not know how to get a hotspot going, so please call us so we can help provide that support.
All right, team, thanks so much for those questions. Dr. Abeyta, we are going next. Next item on the agenda is student achievement. So if you can turn it to the appropriate person, that'd be great.
Would you like me to chime in?
Yes, that would be great.
Okay.
Sorry, this.
Yeah, no, just working out the protocol. Okay, so this evening I will be sharing with you the indicators of success that I always give you. I don't know if Kelly, you would like to share that on the screen, or if people just would like to follow along on their computers. But tonight, this is the indicators for March, and I will say that with school closing on March 12th, we actually only had 9 school days in March, but we continue to have our data and our information that I would like to share with you. So tonight, we're going to talk about the monthly indicators, the quarterly updates, and then our usual additional relevant data in the appendix. So if you start on page 3, with our attendance. Again, this is only from March 1st through March 12th as we closed on March 13th. And you'll see that in grades 2 through 8, we are hitting our target of 95%. Actually, in grades 2 and 7, we're off by 1/10, so I'm rounding, but very close there. We are also over 90% in grades 1K and pre-K, and we are still working in the 80s at the high school level. We are 0.1 lower than we were last month, and we are a bit lower than we were last year at this time. But again, it's not much movement from the last time I reported in that it's only 9 days of school. If you could turn to page 4, we can look at our quarterly grades. So third quarter started in January, at the end of January, and went through February and into March. So we actually had 33 days of school in third quarter, 33 out of the 44. So we did go ahead and we have given students grades, and we've completed those grades for third quarter. So if you see an indicator for grade 4 students, you can see the grades, the percentage of students who have a 3 or better in reading, writing, math, and science. And you will see that those have increased between 5 to 10 points from quarter 2, which is about where they were at this time last year as well. If you turn to page 5, you'll see the same things for grade 8 students with a C or better. And here you'll see that ELA and math both went up 10 to 12 points, and writing and science went up, writing went up 1 point and science dropped 1 point. These are kids, the percent of kids that are receiving a C or better in 8th grade. If you turn to page 6, our dropouts, again, we only had a few days of school, and we only had 1 student drop out during that time. So this is as of March 12th, we are 20 students less dropped out than we were last year at this time, but that also is because we've had less school. So overall, the 1 person that dropped out was another L student in grade 10. Those details are on page 7. And you'll see that all of our percentages are lower than they were last year at this time. Regular education is lower, as is L students with disabilities. Our subgroups, we still are struggling with dropout, especially with Ls, as you'll see at the chart at the bottom of the page. L students have our highest dropout rate, followed by students with disabilities. If you turn to page 9 and look at our mobility rate, so as of March 12th, we've had over 1,000 kids either come or go, 1,040, which is a huge number if you think about our mobility. We've had 16.6% year to date. And that is lower than last year. Last year at this time, we were at 18.7%, and this year we're at 16.6%, so it is lower. But it's still a huge amount of kids when you think about the fact that we have a little over 6,000 kids. We have about 6,400 kids in the district. Having 1,000 come and go is a lot. Overall, if you just look in the month of March, every grade band gained more than they lost. So overall, we ended up with 29 more kids, and most of those were in the elementary and middle school. Overall, the biggest number is at the high school, where 424 kids have either come or gone this year, for a net gain of about 79. If you turn to page 10, the last page, we're looking at the grades for the high school. So in quarter 3, you'll see that overall the percentages of students are dropped a little bit in grade 9. It's very similar to where we were in grade 3 at quarter 3 last year, very similar. However, you will note that we have had a bigger decrease, which is good, in the number of kids that are failing 3 or 4 courses. So we've had that decrease from quarter 2 to quarter 3. But we also have that from last year. So we have about 11 kids less from quarter 2 and about 10 kids less from last year. We're really working hard on those safety nets to really support the kids that are really struggling, and that is paying off. Similarly, in grade 10, we actually cut the number of kids that have failed 3 or 4 courses in half between quarter 2 and quarter 3. And that's due to some really good work up at the high school around safety nets and meeting with parents, and some really good work. It's still not where we would like it to be, but our work is showing and paying off, and we're hoping to improve it. So those are all my data points for tonight. Of course, they're a little bit strange in that they're as of March 12th, but we did want to get it on the books because this is good data that we will use in the future. If there's anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Ms. Kent. School committee members, are there any questions for Ms. Kent? Actually, Ms. Kent, I had a quick question. Bill, I know we are in a period of so much uncertainty and so much unknown, but I'm wondering how will the indicators of success look like in May, right? Like how would you measure
Unfortunately, a lot of these indicators require that we're in school. So for example, attendance is no longer being kept per state recommendation. And we're also not being held accountable for attendance by DESE. So, some of these indicators will not be held. As far as grades go, I'm sort of stealing my thunder from later, but I'll give you a little preview. But for Q4, we have decided that we will be passing. We will not be giving grades to students in Q4, and I can go into more detail later in the meeting when we get to that portion. But therefore, a lot of these indicators, to be honest, won't work for the rest of the year. Some of them will. We'll be able to talk about the graduates in Indicator 9. We are taking AP tests. That is continuing, so we'll have that. And some of these will be relevant, but many of them will be stagnant based on school not being happening in the brick and mortar.
Thank you, Ms. Kent. School members, are there any other questions before we move on? No. Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Kent. All right, Dr. Beta, if you can share personnel updates.
Sure, the personnel updates are included in the enclosures, and I would like to commend the personnel update and the enrollment update for the record.
Thank you, Dr. Beta. Next, we have committee reports.
Make a motion, we accept those committee reports minutes and commend them to the record.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Third.
Thank you. Moving right along. Seeing as we do not have any unfinished business, we will move right along to new business. The first item is consideration and action to accept $12,847 in increased federal grant funding for Title I, Title IIA, IDA, and Early Childhood Special Education. Enclosure E, explanation. The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education has adjusted Chelsea's allocations for fiscal year 2020 for Title I, Title IIA, IDEA, and Early Childhood Special Education grants. Uses of the funds include labor and benefits, professional development conferences, instructional materials, assessment materials, indirect costs, and other costs in support of the programs. Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 37A provides for this acceptance of grants for educational purposes only with the approval of the Chelsea School Committee. Ms. Sejas, if we can get a roll call for this item.
Consideration and action to accept $12,847 in increased federal grant funding for Title I, Title IIA, IDA, and Early Childhood Special Education. Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Did Ms. Hernandez leave?
No, I'm here.
I didn't see you. Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Santiago?
Yes.
And Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
8 votes in the affirmative and 1 absent. The motion carries.
8 in the affirmative, the motion carries. Next, consideration and action to accept the early grades literacy grant in the amount of $7,850 for the 2019-2020 school year. Explanation: the district will receive an additional $850 from DESE to purchase instructional supplies at the Early Learning Center and Sokolowski schools. Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 37A provides for the acceptance of grants for educational purposes only with the approval of the Chelsea School Committee. Ms. Tejas, can we get a roll call?
Consideration and action to accept the early grades literacy grant in the amount of $7,850 for the 2019-2020 school year. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Ms. Carlo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia,
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Santiago,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
8 votes in the affirmative with 1 absent. The motion carries.
8 in the affirmative, motion carries. Next, consideration and action to accept $49,264 from DESE for the Title III English Language Acquisition Academic Achievement Program for English Learners and Immigrant Children and Youth Grant. Explanation: the federal Title III program provides supplemental resources to local school districts to help ensure that English learners and immigrant children and youth attain English proficiency and develop high levels of academic achievement in English. The grant funds will be used to provide supplemental extended year programming, including staffing and other expenses in support of the program. Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 37A provides for the acceptance of grants for educational purposes only with the approval of the Chelsea School Committee. Ms. Tejas, can we get a roll call?
Consideration and action to accept $49,264 from DESE for the Title III English Language Acquisition and Academic Achievement Program for English Learners and Immigrant Children and Youth Grant. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia,
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Santiago,
Yes.
and Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
8 votes in the affirmative, 1 absent. The motion carries.
8 in the affirmative, motion carries. Next, consideration and action to accept $20,000 from DESE for the Systems for Student Success Initiative grant. Explanation: the Competitive Systems for Student Success Initiative supports districts that want to strengthen systems and practices that promote students' ability to thrive in and outside of school. The grant funds may be used for stipends, contractual services, professional development, and to purchase supplies, materials, and other expenses in support of system-level changes. Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 37A provides for the acceptance of grants for educational purposes only with the approval of the school committee. Roll call.
Consideration and action to accept $20,000 from DESE for the Systems for Student Success Initiative grant. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia,
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Santiago,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
8 votes in the affirmative, 1 absent. The motion carries.
8 in the affirmative, motion carries. Next, consideration and action to accept a grant in the amount of $15,000 from the Annie B. Stearns Charitable Foundation for the Intergenerational Literacy Program. Explanation: the Intergenerational Literacy Program has successfully received an award of $15,000 to support the program's ESOL family literacy classes. The funds can be used for the cost of staffing, instructional supplies, materials, and other expenses in support of the program. Mass General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 37 provides for the acceptance of grants for educational purposes only with the approval of the Chelsea School Committee. Roll call.
Consideration and action to accept a grant in the amount of $15,000 from the Anna B. Stearns Charitable Foundation for the Intergenerational Literacy Program. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia,
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Santiago,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
8 votes in the affirmative and 1 absent. Motion carries.
8 in the affirmative, motion carries. Consideration and action to accept a donation of 5 boxes of books from CAPIC for students of all ages with an estimated value of $350. Explanation. CAPIC has generously donated 5 small boxes of books for students of all ages. The books are being distributed to schools across the district. The estimated value of this donation is $350. Mass General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 37A provides for the acceptance of gifts only with the approval of the Chelsea School Committee. Roll call.
Consideration and action to accept a donation of 5 boxes of books from CAPIC for students of all ages with an estimated value of $350. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia,
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez, Ms. Enriquez,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Santiago, Ms. Santiago,
We lose her?
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
She's muted. She's muted. That's, I think, why we couldn't hear her.
do you guys want to do the roll call again or leave it?
Let's try it again.
She was nodding. If you want to take that as a yes, I don't know if you need an affirmative yes, but.
Does someone want to quickly text her just so we can get her vote and then we can move on to the next item? I believe we need a verbal yes.
Yeah, you need a verbal.
Marisol, can you unmute yourself?
Okay. It seems like Marisol's having technical difficulties. Yes, okay. So what is that? Miss Day has 7 in the affirmative?
7.
Okay, the motion carries. Alrighty, great.
Ms.
So,
Garcia, can I ask a
Yes.
question?
yes,
Do we have a few more votes? I'm wondering if she could put it on the chat or do you need to hear her?
Ms. Sejas, will a chat submission suffice for a vote?
As long as she's here, that will suffice.
Perfect, great.
So Marisol, if you could in the chat put your answer to the vote, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Velez, that was a great idea.
As we're getting used to this new normal, huh?
Wow.
Great.
Ms. Sejas, does that make 8 in the affirmative now?
8 in the affirmative with 1 absent.
Awesome. Next, consideration and action to accept the donation of 5 sets of robotics plays, 600 robotics kits, and 10 HTC Vive virtual reality systems for Dell with an estimated value of $7,200. Explain the gift is made as an in-kind match for a Dell Youth Learning Grant that was awarded to UMass Boston. Chelsea Public Schools has participated and is now able to receive $7,200 in robotics and virtual reality items from Dell. Mass General Law, Chapter 71, Section 37A provides for the acceptance of gifts only with the approval of the Chelsea School Committee. Roll call.
Consideration and action to accept the donation of 5 sets of robotics play, 600 robotics kits, and 10 HTC Vive virtual reality systems from Dell with an estimated value of $7,200. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia,
Yes.
Ms. Henriquez,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Santiago,
Yes. Sorry.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
That's 8 votes in the affirmative with 1 absent. The motion carries.
8 in the affirmative, motion carries. Next, consideration and action to accept an award of up to $30,000 from Boston University in recognition of the Hook School's work hosting Saudi teachers in January 2020. In January 2020, the Hook School hosted 7 teachers from Saudi Arabia on behalf of global programs at Boston University, and the university has agreed to provide up to $30,000 in recognition of the school's efforts. The funds will be used to buy supplies, equipment, and other materials in support of students, teachers, support of students, teachers, and families at the Hook School. Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 37A provides for the acceptance of gifts only with the approval of the Chelsea School Committee. Roll call.
Consideration and action to accept an award of up to $30,000 from Boston University in recognition of the Hook School's work hosting Saudi teachers in January 2020. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia,
Yes.
Ms. Henriquez,
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Santiago,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
8 votes in the affirmative with 1 absent. The motion carries.
8 in the affirmative, motion carries. Next, consideration and action to approve a budget transfer in the amount of $907,000 to move funds from multiple accounts. Explanation. Funds are available from salary savings generated when staff were hired at a lower rate that was budgeted for and/or when positions have been vacant for periods of time during the school year. Salary savings also include unused stipends for after-school programs and clubs. In addition, expenses for textbooks and professional development are lower than anticipated. Funds being transferred to district administration for outside counsel assisting with pandemic response and labor negotiations, and for a consultant to increasingly automate human resources and payroll processing. Funding for information technology will be used to significantly increase this year's order of Chromebooks, replace a portion projection equipment district-wide, and buy additional equipment and software to enhance district technology infrastructure. Do we have a motion? Roll call, sorry.
Roll call.
Consideration and action to approve a budget transfer in the amount of $907,000 to move funds from multiple accounts. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia,
Yes.
Ms. Henriquez,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Santiago,
Yes.
and Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
8 votes in the affirmative with 1 absent. The motion carries.
8 in the affirmative, motion carries. Next, consideration and action to amend the non-bargaining salary and wage schedules for 2019 and 2020 for salaried positions as it relates to supervisor of attendance and attendance officer. Each year, the school committee reviews and approves the non-bargaining salary and wage schedules for hourly positions and salaried positions. The schedule currently has a position entitled Supervisor of Attendance in Classification F. The position title refers to a state license that no longer exists, and the position was originally classified as having no supervisory duties. However, in October, the school committee created a new attendance officer position, and the supervisor of attendance has recently received new supervisory duties. As a result, it is recommended that be transferred to classification E, the next highest classification. In addition, it is recommended that a new attendance officer position be created in classification F. It is requested that this change be made effective March 5th, 2020, as this item was inadvertently missed in the March agenda. Roll call.
Consideration and action to amend the non-bargaining salary and wage schedules for 2019-2020 for the salaried positions as relates to supervisor of attendance and attendance officer. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia,
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Santiago,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
8 votes in the affirmative with 1 absent. The motion carries.
In the affirmative, motion carries. Next, we have a recommendation for appointment to Mr. Dylan Cook as school business manager. Explanation. After an extensive recruitment process, the superintendent is recommending the appointment of Mr. Dylan Cook as school business manager. Can we have a roll call, please?
Recommendation for appointment to Mr. Dylan Cook as school business manager. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia,
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez,
Yes.
Ms. Velez,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Santiago,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
That's 8 votes in the affirmative and 1 absent. The motion carries.
8 in the affirmative, motion carries. And Mr. Dylan Cook, I know you're here, so hello and congratulations on behalf of the Chelsea School Committee.
Hello, thank you.
Okay, next up, resolution to support implementation of the Student Opportunity Act for Chelsea Public Schools. So team, I have submitted a draft of the resolution. I think for the sake of this meeting, I'm going to, okay, I'll just read it. So, well, I will read it. It's a draft version, and I wanted to open it up for the school committee to provide feedback or any edits. We're happy to receive those edits. And then the goal is to bring it to the next school committee meeting. And so the idea of this, as you heard it during Senator Sal's, the Student Opportunity Act funding could be in jeopardy. And so we, actually Roberto and I, thank you, Mr. Jimenez, we thought of the idea of coming together and creating a resolution. And so here it is. Yes, so when you get a chance, please read it, school committee members, and then we can come together for the next meeting and put it on the table for a vote. Okay. Do I have can I get a roll call to accept the draft version as is?
Resolution to support the implementation of the Student Opportunity Act for Chelsea Public Schools.
Sorry. Before we start, can I just ask? We're not voting on the resolution. We're voting to include it in the record so that it can be reviewed by the committee.
Correct. Thank you for clarifying, Mr. Jimenez.
If I may, you can call this a first read and then say this is a first reading, and then people can provide feedback, and then you can bring it back for a second and a vote.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes,
before.
Ms. Velez.
Did you put it up on the screen or was it a email
It is.
attachment?
Oh, it was attached. It's attachment P.
Okay.
I have it here on the screen now.
Kelly, Chair It might be, I don't know, for the public and people who don't have it, maybe if you want to read it, would you feel comfortable?
I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. My apologies. Let me get a drink of water because there were a lot of agenda items. Okay, team, my apologies. I'll be happy to read the resolution. Okay, so Chelsea Public Schools is a gateway system that welcomes and educates all students. Together with the Chelsea School Committee and the greater community, CPS is committed to the success of all students, irrespective of their immigration status, ethnicity, race, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, disability, sex, gender identity, socioeconomic status, or beliefs. Today, the community of Chelsea is considered the most vulnerable city in Massachusetts as a result of the COVID-19. This pandemic has hit Chelsea harder than any other town or city in Massachusetts, with the highest percentage of COVID-19 cases per capita. This resolution highlights the ways in which the COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated the inequities that our families have faced for decades. Long before this crisis began, the community of Chelsea was experiencing health, economic, and educational crises. COVID-19 has now added a layer of trauma, loss of loved ones, housing, and food insecurity, and the looming threat of getting sick. If our budget isn't properly funded, we won't be able to help our students process the trauma that already had, let alone the new trauma that this pandemic has caused. In the absence of adequate funding, our students and families will be even more systematically disadvantaged. As a result, CPS will require significant sustained investments over a long period of time to promote the advancement of the next generation in the community of Chelsea. It is recommended that the Chelsea School Committee approve this resolution for the benefit of all students and families in the Chelsea Public Schools. Whereas all of our students, no matter where they live, deserve high quality public schools that teach the whole child and provide them with a well-rounded school experience that addresses their academic, social, and emotional needs. And whereas we, the members of the Chelsea School Committee, urge the legislators to, as required by law, deprioritize budget cuts to districts that have been severely underfunded for years. And whereas equitable education cannot be achieved until Chelsea Public Schools are adequately funded through the Student Opportunity Act. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Chelsea Public Schools will continue to advocate for more funding. Therefore, be it resolved that the state fulfill its commitment to maintain and support a system of free public elementary and secondary schools with the resources dedicated to the school aid fund through the Student Opportunity Act. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Chelsea's City Council, Chelsea's state legislators, the Massachusetts Association of School Committees on behalf of the Chelsea School Committee. And so this is consider this the first reading. As Dr. Abeyta said, we will allow school committee members to provide feedback, and then we will bring it back to the table during the next school committee meeting for a vote. And so as Mr. Jimenez clarified, we are, if you vote yes for it, you're committing it as a draft to the record. Ms. Sejas, may I get a roll call, please?
Resolution to support the implementation of the Student Opportunity Act for Chelsea Public Schools. Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez?
Yes.
Ms. Velez?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Santiago?
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Mr. Wilson? Mr. Wilson?
He's muted. He said yes.
Okay. 8 in the affirmative and 1 absent, the motion carries.
Awesome. 8 in the affirmative, the motion carries. Next, we have school closure updates.
we added this piece because we were getting so many questions. And so I want to be able to answer a couple of questions. So the first topic is Chelsea High School graduation. A lot of questions have come in about that. After a task force at the high school convened that included students, it was decided that we would have a virtual graduation. And right now we do not have a date for the graduation because we have to find a vendor and go through procurement processes. And at this moment, we're looking at maybe in June, end of June. I'm not sure yet, and I will communicate that out as soon as we have a date. So again, the high school graduation will be a virtual graduation. The decision was made because we are still, and because of our high numbers of COVID-19 in the city and the concentration in Chelsea, for the safety of our public and for the safety of our students, we realized that meeting as a whole would probably not be possible. So this is the safest option, and we want to celebrate and honor the class of 2020, and we will continue to do so. The next piece that I've been getting questions on are grades. Will grades count? How will I be graded? So I have Assistant Superintendent Sarah Kent has been working on a policy, and Sarah, if you could share that with everybody.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Again, there are various grades throughout the district. The ones that are the most controversial or the most asked about are the ones at the high school. So again, there was a group of people who did research around what other districts are doing, what we thought would be best for our community. And through a lens of equity, we really wanted to think long and hard about what would be best for our kids. So again, as I mentioned in the indicators of success, Q3 grades are in place and are holding. But what are we going to do about Q4? That's the big question, right? So I'll start with the high school because it's the most complicated, but basically at the high school, we have different types of courses. We have year-long courses, semester courses, and quarter-long courses. So some of those are easy. For example, the semester 1 courses, we had the full attendance and school, so those grades are all set for semester 1. For quarter-long courses, we had quarters 1, 2, and 3 all set. Those grades are in the books and will be used towards GPA. The question comes when we come to year-long courses, semester 2 courses, and Q4 courses. Those are the ones that are being impacted the heaviest by this pandemic. So for year-long courses, grades from Q1, 2, and 3 will be earned and averaged in for final grades for GPA. However, for Q4, we will just be giving students a P for pass. Okay. Similarly, for semester-long, second semester courses, the Q3 grades will be counted, but a P will be given for Q4. And semester 2 grades will not count towards GPA and will be given a final grade of pass-fail. If the Q3 grade was passing, they'll get credit for the quarter and they'll move forward. For quarter-long courses, again, similarly, a P will be given for a quarter-long semester, Q4 course. We just feel that with all that is going on, students are doing their very best to engage, but we just do not want to be in any way penalize students who may not be able to fully participate. We will be working very hard through curriculum and safety nets and summer school and next year in order to support those kids. In grades pre-K through 8, similarly, we will be giving a grade of pass for Q4 work, and students will be moving on as expected to their next grade. We will be sending you this in writing following the meeting so that you can actually read it. I know it's a lot to digest orally, but we do have a memo for you all prepared. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
Hi, Sarah, this is Marisol. So I was taking some notes. Thank you for your efforts in researching what other districts are doing around this. I can't imagine the task. And it's super layered, as you said, and even taking into consideration high school versus K through 12. And also just thinking about, you know, a lot of different things that I'm just really grateful that you guys are looking into. You know, as a mom of a child in the Berkowitz school who has an IEP, I'm really grateful, for example, that, you know, the class dojo that Dr. Albeida was referencing and just getting this online stuff up and going was really impressive and has made a world of a difference for her learning experience right now in virtual. And I know that that's a huge task before us because none of us have ever done this before. So I would just be interested in hearing more as you go along about how you guys are assessing a little bit and what feedback you're getting from other parents or the students. And if we could be helpful in that, whether there could be like a mechanism created, whether even if it's like a 5-bulleted survey again of some sort to send to parents that have Chromebooks. You know, I'd just be interested to hear more feedback from the students and the parents around what we do next, aside from the grading, but also just thinking about, you know, next steps and their involvement in that. But thank you for your work. I know it's not, it's unprecedented.
It has been an adventure, but one that we take on gladly. I would just give a shout out to all the teachers and all of the, you know, curriculum and instructional people that are working so hard. And then on top of that, we have all of our support staff really trying to help with engagement and having kids just be connected with school and keep our community moving forward. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If I can chime in, Sarah's team has mobilized incredibly quickly. And we have been able to just move right along, and we received an update from DESE on remote learning on last Friday night. And by Monday, we had already had a remote plan in place, and Sarah, mostly Sarah and her team, had revised it to accommodate the new requirements and recommendations in the DESE remote plan. And because of the quick and swiftness of that, we have already submitted the new document to the teachers union to review and give us feedback. So hopefully we'll get that done within the next week or two and have it out to our teachers with the new guidance. And the new guidance with the remote plan has 2 added components. And the first component is really reaching out to families and making sure that students are connecting online. So that's going to be a real push. So with that push, we have to make sure we have Chromebooks, that we continue to distribute Chromebooks, and that our kids are logging on and that they get the hotspots. Thank you, Monica and her team, for working through all of that with the Chromebook distribution, but we still have to get more Chromebooks in the hands of our students. And then this second piece of the remote learning plan was standards. And the Department of Ed went through the standards by each grade level, streamlined them. So now each grade level has what they always had power standards. These are even more streamlined because they recognize that you can't cover everything right now. So thank you, Sarah and your team, for your swift and fast work, so we can have this out probably by next week to our staff. Okay, the next item we had on this report is summer school. Looking at all the data and just reading up on and from guidance from DESE, and we struggled with this a little bit. Do we wait what are we going to do for summer school? So we made a decision as a cabinet, as we talked about summer school and just assessing what was happening. And because we've been so incredibly hit so hard with this virus, we recognize that we probably will not be able to be in session in June or July. So based on that information, we have made a decision that summer school will be online, it will be remote learning. And now that we've made that decision, we're moving forward with planning summer programs as well. Adam Delaney is spearheading most of our summer program. Adam, did you want to say a word or two about just some of the things that you're working on?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we actually hired a one-time position for a summer program manager. So Julie Forey and I are working together to oversee and get a real picture of all of the various programs. We're starting to hire site supervisors that can oversee those specific programs. We actually have a very robust summer programming venue across the district. And we did consider holding it off until August to hope that we could do brick and mortar, but ultimately we decided that not doing anything in July would really hurt the momentum of learning. So I think that factored in a lot. So we're hoping to have a virtual learning summer programming set up across the district beginning July 6th.
Awesome, great work. And the last topic is re-entry, and this is something we'll probably have on future agenda is re-entry, and we've been getting a lot of questions about that. And right now at this point, we don't know when we're going to be actually physically able to be in school again. What we do know is that when we come back and we're able to be in school again, it's going to look different. And it could be that we stagger a schedule, like or that we do year-round schooling, or that a group of students comes in for 2 days and another group is on remote learning. Right now, the Department of Education is researching best practices in this area. Chelsea, we have a group, a small group, a task force that's looking at research and literature for what are the best practices in this area as well, because we want to be ahead of this, we want to anticipate it, and we want to make sure at the end of the day that when our governor says it's okay for us to come back to school, we want to make sure that our staff and that our students are safe. And so we are doing research right now to make sure that we have the safest re-entry for our staff and our students and families. Again, school is not going to look the same when we come back. We recognize that, and we already know that. How and what that's going to look like, we're still going to seek guidance from the Department of Education and the commissioner. They're working on some guidance, and then we're going to go from there. So that's where we're at with re-entry. And again, I don't know the dates.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abeyta. School committee members, do we have any questions?
I have one, Ms. Garcia.
Go ahead, Ms. Velez.
What about children that were gonna enter kindergarten? What is that registration looking like for the fall?
Well, I'm excited because we have done, and I'm going to let Adam speak to this since he oversees PIC in just a moment. We're doing a soft opening of PIC so that we can register students. And our students, it's going to be interesting, our kindergartners, we will have to register them virtual, when they enter school. It might be a virtual school. We're gonna figure that out. But I would like for Adam to talk about how we've been strategizing about registration and a soft open for PIC right now.
Yeah, I'll try to be brief, but it's actually quite complex because we have a few different types of registrations that we're working with. First and foremost, it's students moving into the district during this time that we have to register to start now. because they have a civil right to free and appropriate public education. Danny Mojica at Pick has been doing a phenomenal job. He has been very, very flexible, doing appointment only. He, in some cases, he's able to do the registration online virtually, but often it's quite complex and he has to do it in person. So he has been going in to Pick appointment only to work with the newly enrolled students. For registering for next year, we have not started that yet. We are looking at an online registration process, and that's something that will be coming out in the next couple of weeks. And the other thing that I think I know a lot of parents out there are concerned about, so I'm hoping I can alleviate their concerns if they're watching, because we also at this time of year are typically mailing out school preference forms for early learning center students who are moving up to the complex, or fourth graders at the complex who are going to one of the 3 middle schools. So Danny Mojica and I are working on a process to attempt to do that virtually to the best that we can, and we'll try to do the majority of them that way. So more to come on that over the next couple of weeks as well. And then what will happen is the families that we don't get a response from, we will do an outreach to make sure that it's equitable for everyone to have that same choice.
Thank you, Adam.
Thanks, Adam. School committee members, any other questions before we move on to item 10?
I'm sorry, it's Marisol again. I don't want to take up too much time. I just had 2 quick follow-up questions. One was regarding the summer program for Dr. Albeida. If I understood correctly, so let me just summarize so I don't have to ask all this stuff now, but rather, just to clarify, Adam would be the person to follow up with regarding details about the summer program. Yes. And I heard you mention, so the summer program is remote.
Yes.
We are hiring, or someone has been hired as a site supervisor.
Site supervisor who's going to this person will oversee summer school with Adam.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes really quick. And then the last thing I had was, what do you mean by a soft opening, Adam? What does that mean for Pick? Like a soft opening of, yeah, what does that mean, like a soft opening?
So they're not fully open doing all of the things that they normally do, and they're not at the office unless they have an appointment. So a full opening, they would be registering at this point for the 2021 school year next year. So incoming kindergarten students and what have you. But we're not at that point yet. And we're not putting multiple staff members in the building. So they have access to communicate via phone or email to set up an appointment. And then once that appointment's set up, they'll go and meet with them. So anyone coming into the district right now, they will get enrolled, but we're not registering for next year. So by soft opening, we simply mean they're not doing their the full range of services that they normally provide.
So just to reiterate, if parents want to register their students, they can email Danny Mojica, and we're doing appointments.
Here.
Ms. Santiago, do you have any follow-up comments? No? Okay.
Thank you so much, guys. I know that was a lot of questions. Thank you.
Awesome. Those were great questions, so don't apologize. Okay, team, next we have communications. Do we have any announcements or anything for these items?
I don't have any announcements or communications.
Awesome. Okay, great. Moving right along. There's, I just want to take a moment to congratulate our National Honor Society. They will have their induction virtually on May 26th. And so congratulations to the students on the National Honor Society.
And as you said, Kelly, Chair, they are having an induction and it will be at the end of May online. And I do have just a shout out to Jaylee Ortiz, whose wonderful artwork has been displayed everywhere on the Chelsea Record front page. And we put it on our website. The Massachusetts Superintendent Association saw the tweeted it out, and then they asked me if they could place it on their media platforms. I said, go for it. We're just so proud of our students during this time. Proud of just everything that everybody is doing. If you check our website, check our Twitter and our Facebook posts, we've been posting a lot. It's been, our teachers have made videos, our principals have made videos, so check it out. Go to our Facebook and Twitter as well.
Thank you, Dr.
I want to make a comment.
Ms. Carlisle?
Yes, I want to thank the superintendent and all the teachers and administrators, the staff, the custodians, and everybody that works for the Chelsea Public Schools for all the wonderful things they're doing above and beyond from while we're going through this virus. And I want to congratulate superintendent for keeping us abreast of what's going on throughout the city. Thank you very much, Elmi, for all that too. That helps us so we know what's going on when the parents are calling us for any information. So I appreciate what you're doing. And I miss seeing all of you. I mean, even though we're here, I mean, I miss seeing you and hugging and kissing you for crying out loud. A nice tie you have. Adam, you got a nice tie and shirt on. You're at home, you don't need that.
Thank you so much, Ms. Carlisle, and I absolutely second that. The Chelsea Public School System has done an incredible job, and so I want to second that. Thank you. Before adjourning this meeting, I'd like to take a moment of silence for Ana Hernandez's mom, Juana Garcia. So if we can just stand in silence. Thank you. Ms. Hernandez, if you need us, we are here for you, and we love you.
Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you for all your support throughout my mother's illness and all the times that you guys supported me. Her illness was long and you guys went through it all with me. Thank you very much to all of you. You are my family. And I'm very grateful to all of you. And thank you for the flowers. They were beautiful.
You're very welcome. That's what we are. We're a family. Thank you, Ms. Hernandez. That was beautiful. And we are a team, and we will get through this pandemic together with the wonderful leadership of our central office. Any more comments or questions before we adjourn this meeting? Ms. Velez?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody, and for our viewers, if you didn't see us clearly, please be patient. This is all new for us. We're all trying to get used to this new normal. And like Ms. Carlisle said, for the first time, I wish I was sitting in those chambers with those lights bothering my eyes than sitting here looking at the screen. But we really are trying to do the best that we can. And please reach out to any of us with questions. We're here to help you and support you. Not just with school-related issues, but many of us are connected in the city in other ways that we could help families. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
And just one more thing, tomorrow is Hero Day for our food service workers. So a huge shout out to our food service workers. They have worked so hard. So we just want to say thank you.
Yes.
I also wanted to do a quick thank you to our Chelsea Teachers Union. I just found out earlier today, and while everybody has been chipping into the One Chelsea Fund, people from inside the city and also outside the city, I was totally amazed to hear that they've raised over $60,000 for this fund, and that is really, really amazing. And while we honor our teachers and we're in the process of trying to honor them with great salaries, I do recognize that the humbleness and the generosity of just giving back to our community in that way. It was just so touching. I know a lot of teachers need support too. So I'm just really grateful. And I just wanted to say, you know, if you talk to one of the teachers, tell them thank you for what they're doing outside of the classroom, you know, in general right now. So thank you guys for that.
Thank you, Ms. Santiago. Okay, so with that, team and audience, I apologize for any delay, technical difficulties, my shortness of breath. I haven't gone to the gym throughout this pandemic, and we hope that you stay safe out there and reach out if you have any questions. Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Meeting adjourned, and I wish I had the gavel, but meeting adjourned.